What's up guys, Brennan here, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing a piano tutorial for the song Solas by Jamie Duffy. I'm super excited for this one. I can't wait to show you guys how to play it. Before we get into the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future piano tutorials, piano covers, and original songs. And I appreciate every single one of you guys who watches my videos. So I'm going to go ahead and play what we're going to be learning in today's video from start to finish right now. Alright guys, so we'll say that this is a pretty difficult piano piece, but really once you break it down part by part, piece by piece, and practice each one over and over, it could really, any beginner, anybody could play it as long as you just put that practice time in and just make sure that you don't go too far ahead before you've learned the first part. For instance, the first section, make sure you really get that down with both hands, then move to the next, and then progress through the video that way. That way you don't get overwhelmed by trying to learn the whole thing at once, and you do it piece by piece until you have the full song down, practiced, ready to go. All right, that's my advice. Let's go ahead and break down how to learn it. So you start with a little intro before you get into the main part, which is your thumb on E, pinky on B, middle finger on F sharp, and pointer finger on D sharp. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you kind of hold that. And then in your left hand, you play C down here and C up here. So your hands are going to have to stretch. This is called an octave when you're playing the same key down here as you are up here. So you go on C, then you move up to E, same thing. Then you move all the way up to B, and back to C up here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the right hand, you're going to be repeating this throughout most of the song. So you're going to start with your thumb on E, and you're going to go like this. And then repeat that on a loop. So it's E, F sharp, G, skip A here and play B. And then you go back, down. So it's repeat, repeat. In the original song, he plays it super quick like this. And it just repeats on a loop over and over and over. Okay, so now that we know that, let's put both hands together here. Start with this, just the right hand alone. Now you get ready to play the next part, and it goes like this. So you're basically doing the loop 2 whole times. So it's once, second time, and then right when you go to hit the start of the loop again, you then move the keys to E. So you're doing this 2 times. 1. Now we know to move to B right when I go to start. Move. So think of the loop as starting down here, ending right there. Then it starts again. So you're doing it 2 whole times each time you play a key in the left hand. So it's repeat. Now when I go to hit E, I move the key in the left hand. Again, move, move. Take a second, pause the video, and practice getting that down fully. Okay, now, after you learn that whole thing, that entire part repeats. So it goes like this, starting on C, E, B, C. Now the whole section repeats. C, E, B, C. Now the right hand, good news, stays exactly the same. The left hand changes, so we're going to go ahead and learn that here. So then it goes into this little part where you're doing a lot in the left hand and a lot in the right hand. So you start with C with your pinky, middle finger with E, pointer finger with G, and stretch up here to C. And you're going to go from the bottom to the top, like. Start over. Just like the loop we were doing earlier, this is now a loop in the left hand, meaning it starts, ends, and immediately starts again. So that's what I mean by loop. A good way to keep track of the loop is your pinky is 1. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I did 4 loops there. So just keep track of that pinky and know that that's your 1 to count. After you do that, you do the same pattern, but you move keys. So then your pinky jumps up here to C, middle finger on G, pointer finger on B, and thumb on E. And you do the same loop. Repeat. Repeat. Then you do the same loop with these keys. You move down to pinky on B, middle finger on D, pointer finger on F sharp, and thumb on B. And then you do the same loop. Repeat. Repeat. is you go back to the first one you did, which was pinky on C, middle finger on E, pointer finger on G, and thumb on C. And you do that same time. Okay? So I encourage you, this is going to take a little bit of practice to be able to do it without thinking about it. That's where the practice comes in, is if you're thinking about, oh crap, where am I going next? Then you know that you haven't practiced it enough. It has to be kind of automatic to you. So the entire left hand should go like this. Tricky, but the more you practice it, the easier it'll go. Just think if you're doing 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops, 2 loops. Okay? Over and over and over. Okay? So now we're going to put both hands together. So a good rule here is whenever you're playing a key in the right hand, you want to play a key in the left hand. So there should be no keys that you're playing by themselves. They're going to be at the same time for this part. Okay? So starting on, we know that the right hand part is... and then the loop starts over. Well, that's the same thing in the left hand, except you're playing different keys. So now let's try putting those 2 loops together. So here we have this part here. We know this is where we're playing in the left hand, and we know this is where we're playing in the right hand. Let's put both together. That was the loop. Then it starts over, because you do it 2 whole times. Now we keep the right hand the same, but we move the left hand, remember? So now it goes. Repeat. Then we jump down to B, same thing. Repeat. Last one, back to C. That's tricky about this is the C that you do at the end. Remember, that's also the beginning loop. So you kind of stay on C. Really, you're staying there 4 whole times because it's this one, this one, this one, C, start again. So see how I stayed on C longer than the others? Hopefully that makes sense. It's a little bit tricky to get the hang of. Okay, so now we're going to try raising up the speed of this, okay? So remember to get that left hand practice in on its own before you move on to this part. Here we go. Switch. 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 And then that whole entire thing repeats. So we go here. Switch. 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 Now I'm saying switch so that you know when to move in the left hand, but when you have this fully down, know that you cannot pause between the 2 loops. It has to be one almost continual thing that's not pausing at all or delaying. So it'd be like, and just repeating on a loop. So really make sure that you get that practice time in. But for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of this tutorial. After you do that 2 whole times, then you get into a cool little part in the right hand and left hand where it changes slightly. So we're going to start with the right hand. I'm going to play it on its own. Really tricky. Okay. So we're going to break this up into parts because that's the easiest way to learn something. So you're going to start with your thumb on B, pointer finger on D, middle finger on E, fourth finger on F sharp. So that's going to kind of go like, and you stay on the F sharp for a bit. So it's, and then you do a little walk down. So pinky on G, fourth finger on F sharp, third finger on E, pointer finger on D, and thumb on B. So it's going to go like this. So try that again. Okay, and then you immediately go into this next part, so I'm going to show you. And your third finger needs to cross over to A here. And then you play G. So try that all together. One more time. And then you go. So that's A, B, D, and then you go really quickly between A and B. So try that. So it's like these two are kind of going back and forth really close. And then you go. So that's, try that with me. And then that whole little part here repeats 3 times total. So you go first time, second time, third time. So let's try this whole thing together. Here we go. Feel free to pause the video and practice that more until you can play it really, really quickly, like in the original song. Okay, so then after you're on this key, you cross over and do a similar thing. So I'm going to show you. So that's F sharp, G, B, and then you do the little quick note thing between F sharp and G. So it's, and then you go F sharp, E. So all together it's, one more time. And that repeats 3 times as well. 1, 2, 3. So now let's try putting this whole thing together from the top. Feel free to pause that, practice it a ton. So then the left hand part for that is a little bit similar to the last section, but it changes slightly. So the first one is the same. You start with your pinky on C, middle finger on E, pointer finger on G, and thumb on C. And you do the same thing twice. Second time. Then you go to the second one, which is the same. Pinky on E, middle finger on G, pointer finger on B, and thumb on E, just like last time. And you do that twice as well. 1, 2. Then instead of moving down here to B like we did last time, you're going to play a different one right here. So it's going to be pinky on D, middle finger on F sharp, pointer finger on A, and thumb on D. And you're going to do the same looping pattern starting at the bottom. And again. Okay? And then the last one is the same as the earlier section, which is C again. So it's C, E, G, C, G, E, repeat. So that whole section is like this at full speed. And then that whole thing repeats again. Okay, so now let's put both parts together. Now this is a little bit tricky, so it's gonna go like this. I'm gonna just play it really slow to try and show you the timing of putting both hands together, because that is one of the trickiest things when learning piano. So you're gonna start like this first. Remember, this is the first one we do in the left hand, and then in the right hand it's, okay, so it's, and this is when you move up to the G when you're back on the E. So it's, try that with me from the top. And then it goes. A little bit tricky. Let's try it a little bit faster, because it actually is easier to keep the timing because it's similar to the original song. So it's just a little bit easier. So let's try it again. Then you move to the next one at this point, and then it's, and then that repeats. Third time. Let's put this whole thing together, what we've learned so far, both hands. Switch. Repeat. And then the last one. Just letting you know that this is incredibly hard, so don't be hard on yourself if you're not getting it right away. That's where the practice comes in, and referring back to the video and kind of going over and over and over and over. So we're gonna go over this section one more time and then move on to the next part. Here's how you do both hands together. Just watch my hands nice and slow. So full speed, that would be like this. So now, then it's a similar part. So good news, the left hand stays exactly the same as the last section. So it's, okay, but then the right hand then moves to another part. So you start with your thumb on B, and you go like this: B, D, E, G. So it's, earlier you went up here, so the second time it's different. So it's, okay, then you do this little trick where your thumb now plays the G a second time. So you switch from your pinky and then you do your thumb. So that's a little bit hard to get the hang of. So it's, and then you start on the next part. So it's just a way to kind of get your thumb up to where your pinky was. So it's, and then now this is the next part. So it's G, A, B, D. And then we do the same thing as last time where we go. Then you repeat that. Third time. So let's try that all together. Repeat. Repeat. And then this next part is the same as last time. You go F sharp, G, B. And then you go. And then you repeat that 3 times too. Third time. So it's very similar to the last one. There's just really kind of a little slight difference. So all together it's. So usually when I go to play this black key part, I cross over with my third finger and I kind of cross over and play it with these 2 fingers and go. That's just how I like to do it. Okay, so now we're gonna put this part together with the left hand. So remember the left hand stays the same. Now we're gonna try this new part here. So all together, here we go. That's the timing. So you should be playing that second G with your thumb when you're playing this E key in the left hand, okay? So all together. Switch. That, let's put both of these parts together. Here we go. As there's no pauses between all of these parts that you're learning. It goes from one immediately to the next, almost like it's on one big loop, never pausing, never hesitating, boom, from one part to the next to the next and the next. Okay, so now once you've learned that part, we learn an entirely new part. So I'm going to go ahead and play the next part that we learned here. we're just going to break it down section by section, part by part, and learn it that way. So in the left hand, you have a similar looping pattern. It's just that the keys change. So the first one is actually the same. It's C, E, G, C. Repeat. Then instead of moving up to this E, you actually do a pinky on D, middle finger on F sharp, pointer finger on A, and thumb on D. And you do the same pattern, bottom, and repeat. Then you jump all the way down here to a new one, which is pinky on A, middle finger on C, pointer finger on E, and thumb on A. And you do that same pattern. So this one that you do A, you actually repeat this one a total of 4 times instead of 2. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together it's like this. So a good way to keep track is whenever you hit your pinky, count it 4 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Then in the right hand is, so it's E, A, and then you go, and then you go down to F sharp and back to E. So the only 4 keys you're playing are E, F sharp, A, and G. So it's, and it goes really fast in the original, so it's, and then you go D, E, and then the whole thing repeats. Again. D, E. So let's try putting both parts together. So here's how it's gonna go. You're gonna start in the right hand playing alone. You don't come in the left hand yet. So it's, and then right when you start on G is when you go in on the left hand. So it's, then you move up to D. Go down to A. Stay on that one, nothing in the right hand. So then you repeat that whole section, but here's how it loops together. So you're holding this one, 2, 3, 4. Starts again. Switch. Down to A. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's put that together. Let's go over it again because it's a little bit tricky. So at the very beginning, you start with nothing in the right hand. So it's, and then when you go to G is when you start. Down to A. Then it immediately goes into this next part. So the left hand stays exactly the same, but the right hand changes. So we're going to learn the right hand here. It's a little bit tricky, but just look at it like a loop. So the first loop is E, C, G. So it's you do it 4 times total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you skip all the way up here to your 4th finger on F sharp. Your pointer finger goes to D, and your thumb goes to A, and you go. So you go 1, 2, up to G, back to F sharp. So it's. And then you go to E, C, and A. So you do that 4 times. And then you go to pinky on A, and then keep these two the same. And you do that 4 times too. So all together it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and then back down to E, C, and A. And the entire thing then repeats. Okay, so let's try both parts together here. So it's. Then when we move up to D, we move to this next one. Now when we move down here, we move to A. I can't hear you, but I know you're doing a great job because this is not an easy song. Okay, so then it immediately moves up to higher on the piano. And we play an earlier section, but just higher up on the piano, which is good because all you have to do is just move it higher. So it goes into this part. This part. Remember? Down to B. Back to C. It's the same exact thing as last time, so then you repeat this. Now, good news. The next part is the exact same as the earlier section, just higher up on the piano. So remember, it's. Same as we learned. Next part, exact same. So then at this point, you go back to one of the very first sections that we were doing, which is up to E. So now we're at the end. It's called a broken chord. So instead of playing this all together, which is a chord, you break it up. So that's pinky on C, middle finger on E, pointer finger on G, thumb on C. Then you, in the right hand, you go thumb on E, pointer finger on G, middle finger on C, and thumb on E. So you're just playing C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E. Same 3 keys. Alright guys, and there you have it. That is the entire song of Solas by Jamie Duffy. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton, and it also helps you guys out so you don't miss out on any of my future piano tutorials. Don't forget to create art, and I'll see you guys next time.